record on this. All right, awesome. So do you see the issue and VS Code?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, so this is the one we want to do first. So in this mapping, we have field numbers, but not sure what they relate to. And you're specifically wanting to get a list of the fields, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and open this. Create a merge request. I will bring up my oh. 7425. Okay. All right. So now we're on that branch. Okay. So the Bamboo extract is in this folder. So we've got two files, API and execute. So the API is kind of the wrapper around all the different endpoints that they have. So looking at, so you want the get a list of fields from this. So this is the example path. So company V1 meta fields. And I don't think we have that path written out, but we can do that pretty easy.
Okay.
Let's see if we've got anything similar. So we've got the base URL here. So API, gateway, subdomain is going to be GitLab. Then we've got V1. So everything, this is the only thing we need is this meta/fields. So
Got it. Okay.
We've got two options here. So what I'm looking at here is for each of these functions, we're generating a URL. So we're using this base URL and then we're appending something to it. In this case, like we have one specifically for the employee directory. We have one for tabular data, one for the reports. So we need one just for, I think the simplest would be to just make one for the meta, specifically for the metadata, and then we can update it if we need to. So since looking at this, there's nothing that you would pass in that's variable, as far as I can tell. Oh, actually, I take that back. So there's meta fields, there's meta tables, meta lists. So there are a couple of options that we could add in. So we'll start simply here. Let's take this function. I'm just going to copy it, and so get meta data. So we're going to have this function take just a string. We'll call it meta name, just why not? And I think we'll just do that one for now.
Okay.
All right. And so similar format, we're going to import that base URL, and then we know the URL is going to be meta is a consistent one, and then we want this is the variable part of the request, and then everything else is really the same, because I really don't have to check it otherwise. So I'm just going to update the doc string here. API method to retrieve tabular data for, I don't really know what I'm getting here. I'll just copy this. Have some basic. List of available the data types. Okay, so that's a good enough documentation. So we're going to pass it. We know, just to get started, we're just going to pass it fields, but we could update it later if we wanted to pass it something else. Okay. Okay, so we consider that API updated there. And then this execute actually like goes through and we tell it what we're getting. So the way we've done this is we basically we either directly get it like in the company directory. We just say, okay, hey, we're getting the employee directory, run the function, get the counts, dump it to a JSON file, and then upload that. Or we have, so it's like calling a single function. This one's like iterating through a bunch of different options and then calling that specific one, doing all this stuff and updating it. So for just simplicity, I'm going to basically copy the exact same format, I think, as custom reports here, just to make it simple. Like looking at this, we could probably refactor it down the line, but
yeah,
you know, for short things right now. So we're going to do metadata. We're going to call this meta fields. And the text string is just going to be fields. My son's making a ton of noise. Data for fields. So this is one thing. So this is doing a this does a check on the data. So I'm actually going to comment that out for a second. So we have a function in here that will basically upload the data and then count to make sure that it's like compared to the previous data set, it works and is okay.
Okay.
All right. But so we'll skip that for now. So data get, oh, we need to update this get metadata, make sure I don't need to import that. No, because I get the whole API. Okay. So I was just making sure that the function that I'm trying to use here, I don't need to explicitly import. And I don't, because we're importing the entire class here.
Okay.
And then we're setting here, we set this variable to this class with the subdomain, and then we just reference this and call different functions each time.
Okay.
So we're saying we're get metadata. We're going to upload the JSON file that's written out, and in this case, it's meta fields. Helps if I spell it out. What this is doing, so it's looping through this dictionary, which happens to have one entry. So it's going to say for key value, and the key is meta fields, values fields in this, and then it does stuff based on that. So it's going to upload metadata or meta fields.json, and we want to load it into. Oh, so this function. Here. Oh, no definition found. Oh, that's because it's in. So we have some helpers. So in this GitLab data utils project, we have helper functions that we use a lot. And so Snowflake stage load copy remove is pretty much says what it does. It basically, when you're uploading to Snowflake, you have to put something in a stage, which is kind of like an S3 bucket, and then a copy from that stage into a table. And so that's what we're doing. We basically say, take this file, upload into this stage, copy it into this table using this connection string. So
got it. Okay.
Yeah. So in this case, it's pretty standard. I don't have to change the stage because it's for BambooHR anyways. The only thing we need to worry about is the table, which in this case, I think it's not smart enough to actually make the tables itself. So I'm going to go make that real quick. Probably going to log on here. All right, actually, okay. So I am logged in. So everything so this uploads to the raw database. Everything in the raw database is owned by the loader role.
Okay.
And yeah, so you can see we have all these tables here. So I need to make a new table that we're going to call meta fields. And maybe there's a better name for it. I don't know if you have opinions on that, but
yeah, I'm okay with that.
okay. So I never remember the create table statement. This is one of those things we do better documentation at. So I happen to know that in our Snowplow page here, we have this create table statement, which I just copy and reuse constantly. So, so create or replace table, we're going to do raw dot BambooHR dot meta fields, which maps to what we have here. And then this is the exact same because we know, at least for this, when you query the API, you're getting back a JSON or like a dictionary blob, and we just insert that into a single column. And so all of these tables have a variant JSON text column and then the uploaded at timestamp. And this sets it to the default value. So if you don't, when you're copying into the table, if you don't give it a value, it sets the default to just the current timestamp, which is basically what we want. So create or replace table, BambooHR meta fields. Cool. So that's done. So now what I want to do is test this. And I think I can. I got to check to make sure I've got the API key locally. I don't necessarily have to have it locally. Let's do it. I won't do it locally. We'll do it in Airflow. So don't worry too much about this. This is just kind of our process for testing Airflow. Oh, I never said Docker. So, you know, we run Airflow in Kubernetes, which is like a container orchestration tool. In local testing, we can spin up Airflow locally, and it will run in Kubernetes in like a testing namespace.
Okay.
There's a lot of steps, and it's not great, honestly. This is not our best. It works, but it's not as easy as I would like it to be. Okay, so Docker's running, so now I should be able to do make init. Oh, actually, I gotta check. Config. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing stuff off screen so I can see some settings that I have. Okay, so that should actually work fine. Okay, so making it Airflow.
So then if I were to try running that command, would it work for me, or would it not work based on my roles?
Probably wouldn't work based on your roles. You can try it. I think it's going to try and connect to our GCP instance, and it's going to give a lot of errors because it's doing a bunch of stuff. It's setting up like a local database, spinning up a web server. It's doing quite a lot behind the scenes. Okay, so that's done, and then I need to run make Airflow, and this actually brings up the web server.
Got it. Okay.
And the scheduler and the database and all that fun stuff locally. Okay, cool. So now if I go to localhost 8080, I'm connecting to the local web server running. Oh, perfect. This is actually already on. So I'm going to turn this off real quick. Turn this off because I don't want that to run. Oh, please stop. I have some stuff lingering around here that I don't actually want to run. Okay, so this is the DAG, the Airflow DAG that runs it. So we have one specifically for BambooHR. It does a bunch of stuff, but it basically just runs this execute script is all it's like. That's what it's doing at the end of the day. So for testing, I don't actually want to test that all of this other stuff is running. So I'm going to I'm going to comment out all of this stuff and just test the one thing that we care about.
Okay.
So I need to actually real quick, I think I need to commit this. I think. Okay, so this, so add metadata function to BambooHR API, commit that, and then I'm going to actually. Let me commit, add metadata, git, and I'm going to copy.
Are you in, is this in Airflow or?
So this is a tool called Sublime Merge.
Okay.
So it's a visual way to do some of the command line stuff to understand what's changed, what you're committing. You can check out the visualization history. I have,
Okay.
yeah, so it costs money, and actually I haven't paid for it yet. After about like 10, it's an unlimited trial. I just haven't paid for it. I probably should.
Can you also do the same thing in Visual Studio?
Yeah, you can.
Like,
yeah,
okay.
so so like if I change, add a space here. So Visual Studio has its own little Git thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can see, yeah, so like this is in here. Okay. This is just, I don't know, I'm used to this workflow.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I'll discard that change. Okay, so I've committed that because I think it pulls from the remote. I don't know. Let's see what it does. So, okay, so the code's up there. This is nice too because it's creating the databases on the back end. I don't know if I'm going to need the raw clone. One of the downsides of testing this is that I think it actually tests in production, quote unquote. Like I think when I run this, it's going to actually just write to the true raw database.
Okay.
Yeah, which in this case, since it's a new extract, is kind of fine. But in an, I think, ideal world, we'd have a clone. It would write to a separate thing. We wouldn't have this overlaps.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool. So it's running now. So we're waiting for it to spin up a Kubernetes pod. So I can look at GCP here. So let's look at the workload. So it should be trying to spin. Oh my gosh, what is all this? Oh, I see. Interesting. Man, it's got a lot of bad stuff here. Let me get rid of all these. I think this is because I tried to spin something up. Oh, yeah, because that DAG was running. I'm gonna delete all these. Weird. Something's, oh, dadgummit. Oh my gosh. I have a, this little icon here. It's a tool called OneTab. And like when you have a bunch of tabs, you click it and it like puts it all onto a single page and like a list. And I just did that. Okay. So it's running. It's just waiting for something to happen. Oh, did it pass? Okay, cool. So these log files are a nightmare, but so if we look at the DAG again, we can try and figure out what it's doing. So this is the main bit of the command, and you can tell we copy this from other things because it says SFTC, but this should be BambooHR.
Okay.
So it's running this command. So the list of commands are like, when you spin up, run all of these commands. So the last one and the one unique to the DAG is this Python, it says we're saying use Python to run this script. This clone and setup extraction command is the standard thing where we're like, okay, the orchestration stuff is in here, move to this folder, and then we have a bunch of other stuff where it clones the project into the thing. We can look at the whole list of what it's actually doing. So if we look at the rendered template in here, do you have access to Airflow?
I just submitted an access request.
Okay, cool. Because you should be able to. Let me do this real quick. So within any DAG, really, you can go into this rendered template, which shows like, hey, this is based on all your code. This is what we're running. And this arguments command is what is actually being run, which is, it's a lot of text to say. So if I look here, so it's like, it's doing a bunch of stuff. It's doing a git clone. It's echoing some stuff to the command line, moving to a directory and then running Python. So that's all it's doing.
Okay.
So we got this locally. It ran, it passed. If we look at the logs, the most interesting bit is down here. So it's saying cloning into analytics, checking out the head, getting the branch that we're on. And then this is all like Snowflake stuff. So it's getting the metadata. And so that ties back to what we wrote here, getting metadata for fields. And then this is all Snowflake stuff responding back. Like it's putting the JSON file, it's copying into the table, and then it's removing the file from the stage because we just want to clear that out when we're done. So now if we go into, oh, I have to go back in here. Now if I look at meta fields, we can see we've got data. Oh, is it not just showing? Okay, yeah, stupid Snowflake is being Snowflake. So yeah, so we've got data there, and we've got uploaded that information.
The data we brought it. Okay.
So cool, it works.
Sweet.
So now what we want to do real quick is uncomment out the testing that we did to make sure everything works. So I'm not super familiar with this function. So what is it doing? Well, there's no comment here, but so it's taking in the data, looking at the Snowflake table, tables to skip, field name, JSON text, which is the default. So if there's tables to skip. Oh, interesting. Okay, so I think what he's doing is if it's looping through, oh, if there's like wildly variant data, I guess. If you wanted.
So it's eliminating it from the test.
Yeah, okay, hold on. I'm going to do something to make this easier to understand. All right, so here's the test extraction. So what he's doing, so use here is the length of the data. We've got the Snowflake table, which is the key. We've got the engine, and then tables to skip. Do I always need to have that? Is that always set? Or is that a global? Oh, I guess maybe it's for testing. It's really interesting. I'm not sure what that is, but let's just test it. Okay, so we need to tell it what data we want. I guess. Well, interesting. So up here, he's getting length of employees. Oh, yeah. Okay. So I see what he's doing. So in employees, like I think it's nested, and so he gets all that information in there. I think this is just, it looks at the entire length of the data. So I think we can follow this format here.
Okay.
So if we just do record key counts length data, and what do you do? We'll just do, is this even used? Oh, I see. Okay. So, oh, interesting. So he's using something that's called, sorry, I keep saying he because I think Michael did a lot of this.
Paul or Michael? Okay.
So if we look in production, so it's using something called an XCOM, which is a way to pass data kind of between different jobs. So if I look at the production BambooHR extract and I come into a specific job and then I look at XCOM, it's creating this dictionary of values, and it basically it's like a data quality check. And so what we're building in this script is a dictionary. And so we have record counts here, and in each instance he's setting the dictionary. So he's setting the key to whatever we've set, and then he's setting the value to whatever the length of the data is. And this is used in I think when we're getting we're sending like logs to Prometheus. I think in here, if I look for BambooHR, here we go. No, not that one. Yeah, here we go. So this data is being emitted. So like Prometheus looks at this page and scrapes this data, and then we have like historical information for log data.
Record counts. Okay.
Yeah, and so like you can see the record counts here for each of these, and we can look at those over time. And then we have, I think we have some alerting if it drops dramatically or something. So that basically will tell us if something goes wrong with the extract. Okay, cool. We're getting caught up here. So, so all we need here is to pass in, or let me actually do it on the other side. So we've got our test extraction here. So all we really need is data. We're telling it to look at the key table, so I don't need to hard code that. Everything else is the same. And I can get rid of this because we have a default, which is JSON text, which is what we need. So I'm going to drop this thing, and then that should work. So let me add
and the comma. And the comma after line.
So that's okay. So in Python dictionaries, you can have that, and it works okay.
Okay.
All right. So let me commit this real quick. So add quality check, and then. All right. So I'm going to run this. See what this is doing real quick. Clean this up. Cool, we got another hour. So we're almost done with this one.
Okay.
Cool, that's happy. All right, so I am still local, so I'm just going to trigger this again, and I would expect to see it's going to upload another file, but I want to see in the logs that it's actually doing this test. It takes a minute. Oh, there you go. Make sure nothing else is running. Okay, here we go. Okay, so yep, it's good. It's getting the query. Now it's uploading to Snowflake, and then it should do. I guess it doesn't emit anything when it does the. Okay, well the job passed. But if I look, no. Wonder, what is that admin page? If I come to. Oh, yeah. So if I come, so this is locally, you can see here, this is the DAG run duration. Did it actually get, it didn't get saved. Oh, you know what? I didn't push it. That'll do it. Okay, so So let's go back and let's rerun it. And this is one of the reasons that I'm not a huge fan of, I'm testing in prod, but like we're just entering in the same data a bunch of times, but it's fine. Like it's not a huge amount of data. It's very cheap. So, and since it's the real data, like I'm not hitting a test instance, like it's, after this gets merged, I'm just going to leave it in there. Like it's not hurting anything. So you have to push it up to the remote because one of the commands in here is cloning, like getting your branch from GitLab.com. So
got it. Okay.
So it's not like reading from my local directory. Okay. So getting metadata, it's running the query. I think it's all good. It's really hard to read, but maybe if I go back to admin, is that what it was? Yeah. It's killing me here. What was it down here? Airflow XCOM parameter. Interesting that's not being written. Maybe that's something weird about doing it locally.
Okay.
I'm not super worried about it. Let's just put it that way.
Okay.
Okay, cool. So we're going to say that works. So now basically last thing left to do,
just uncomment.
Uncomment this, get the code back to a happy state. Comment. And there was two ways to do this. So I had a commit here that I could have like specifically reverted, or it's just easier sometimes to just manually revert it, or just like manually undo the changes. So that's good. So push it up, refresh this page, and just kind of sanity check that you've done everything right. So BambooHR, we've got our new function, and we've got the new extract. And so what I would do next is, edit the description, get it ready. Like I'll take some screenshots to show how I tested it, a sample SQL query to show that it's in the database, and then I'll pass it off to Michael for review. So that one's pretty much ready to go. Yep.
And then for the pipelines, it's just running the Snowflake pipeline?
There is nothing really to run. So a lot of the pipelines are set for the analysts. Like with a few exceptions, there's not a ton of pipelines that run in here. One that you did remind me, there is one thing that we need to do. So we need to lint our code. So the data engineers have good linting. The data analysts, we don't have good linting. The easiest way that I have found to do this, like this is not great either. So one of the jobs that's going to run in here is it's running. So Black is the tool that we use for Python to lint it. We have a bunch of other tests that run. So it's trying to find all the tests, like the Python tests, and run those. We don't have any tests for the BambooHR extract, and that's just one of the unique things. But we do need to lint everything. So locally, what I do is I do a lot of development in permafrost, and we use Black also for permafrost. And I have a virtual, like a Python virtual environment set up. So what I do to lint is I'll just start the permafrost environment and then just run Black period, which tells it to lint the entire, lint and format the entire project. It's going to come through. It reformatted a bunch of stuff, which is interesting. I'm not going to worry about the stuff that I didn't touch. So discard that one, discard that one, discard that one. So you can see, so this one, so what it's doing here is it's bringing, so the function that we copied because we got rid of one of the function parameters, it just puts it on one line, it gets rid of an extra line here, drops some extra white space on that. So I'll get these two in there. Bring that up. Now it's still gonna, black is still gonna fail because like it tried to lint those other things and it didn't work for whatever reason, but I'll take care of that in a separate MR. But we linted those two files, so we're good to go. So there's really nothing you have to run. Ideally, this would be green too. So
Okay.
Cool.
So this is really is just like testing locally and or testing in prod to make sure everything runs as expected.
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
Well, testing locally in prod. So it's like it's a different namespace in Kubernetes, but it's actually writing to the production database, which for BambooHR is okay. But it's not a good best practice, I would say.
Okay.
All right, so that one's done. So let's move on to this next one. Let me get situated here. Make sure there's nothing left I have to do. So I'm going to check out the master branch again. So let's open up another. I should put. Oh, what is this? No. All right, let's. We'll create a merge request from this. Do it from exit airflow. So we're on that new branch. Let's clear up all my spaces here. Let's see what we're trying to do. Is this? All right, we're good. Okay. All right, so this will probably force us to make this private. So we have a project here that is not publicly available. So if I go to a private window, so I'm not logged in, it's going to redirect me to sign in. So we have to be authenticated. We have, in fact, let me actually do this. So we have a user, like a bot user called GitLab Analytics, which may actually already have access to this. So it's the Analytics API GitLab login. It's like a true GitLab login. So I'm going to log in as this little guy. I'm in a private window to test this out. So I guess he has a two-factor authentication code. Let me move this down here. So GitLab Analytics. Aha, yes. So we've got two-factor auth set up in 1Password. So maybe this. So log in. Okay. So the API user does not have access to this project. So that's a to-do is I have to set up an access request for that. But let's say that it did. What are we going to do? So we need to basically get all of, well, we specifically want one, but we need to get all of the other ones. All right, so let's look at the, so let's start off with the DAG. So we have our GitLab data YAML extract, and what's it looking at? So we've got two files that it's running. It's running GitLab data YAML and GitLab feature flags YAML in the extracts folder. That open. So come down here. So the GitLab features flag one is one that I just wrote for Camille to get the GitLab, the product repo, and then copy some data out of that. But I put it like, it's in the same job because it's a very similar job. But the one we care about is this GitLab data YAML upload.py. So similar to what we did with BambooHR, we've got dictionaries of, here's the key, here's the value. The key maps to the table, value maps to the file name. And what we're doing is going to the raw data. So it's raw master data, and then getting performance indicators, and then I'll just do sales. Something else I need to do?
I don't know if it's called sale. Oh, no. Oh, it's sales.
Oh, I need .yaml. There we go. So that's, yeah, so that's the raw data. So that's what we want for this. So let's go.
So I think we have the location factor file. What we want to bring in now is the geozones.
Okay. What do you mean? So this is all behind, like we're not pulling. What is this actually pulling then?
So that.
So it doesn't exist. So I think
because
so
it got. Oh,
yeah.
because it got moved.
Right.
Okay.
So if we look at, so I think what's been happening is this has just been running, but nothing is probably being uploaded.
But nothing's.
So yeah, see, so nothing has been uploaded. So so we'll have to move them all. But what am I trying to do here? So I just want to get this raw URL. So yeah, so this is the full. So this is the new URL. So the question is, we have to authenticate. How do we do that? Can I even do it with curl? All right, so I'm gonna have to do some Googling here because this is where the true data engineering happens. And by that, I mean Googling until I find an answer that kind of makes sense.
Okay.
How to authenticate? So yeah, so a private token seems to be the way to go. And actually, I don't want to share this on the screen. So I'm doing something locally. So one of the things, so I do have my own private token. So one of the things that I do via the command line, I'll just share this. So we have, like, I'll do snowflake spend. So this is our DBT package for our snowflake spend. And I cut releases that are tied to a specific commit. So, so like you in your dbt packages.yaml can say, get me version 1.2.0. And now you can do this via the UI, but it used to be you can only do it via the command line. And so you would literally, let me copy this. My private token. So this right here is like how I would cut a release. So I'm using curl, which is a command line utility for connecting to a URL, passing a bunch of information, passing your private token, and then like tell it what you're trying to do. So I think we're going to follow the same format and pass in this private token to get this data. And so what I'm going to do real quick is just test off screen to see if this works. So curl, and I'm just going to straight up. I don't want to post. I want to. Let's just see what happens if I get. Just curl the raw file. redirected. Let's be smarter about this. Okay. GitLab curl. So I know that I need to basically pass in something.
Okay.
So I don't want an API request. I want wonder if I need to. So this is what I do for half the time is just Google around until I figure out. Oh, here's okay, curl. Oh, here we go. Okay, yeah. Header, private token, or access token. It should be. It's hitting the API though. So it's the API. So now I need to figure out. So what I don't know is, can I get this data just by hitting the API? No. API v4. Maybe let me just add. See what happens. It's not gonna work. 404 not found. So what are the endpoints? So this is to get data back about stuff. Repository files. Okay, we're on to something. Okay, so read repository. Okay. So it gets you information about the file. Need the actual data though. Get a file blame, get raw file from repository. Okay, all right, we're on to something. So we need the project number. So the way to do that is come here, come to compensation calculator, and the project ID is here. So let me test this locally. What does it look like? Project slash that. And then I need repository files. Repository files, file path. Got it. Okay. Goodness. Okay. All right, so let me build this. I want to build this up. Something that I can actually show you. Not reveal my token. Okay. So we're down here. So this is what I'm testing locally. I just replaced the token here. So I've got the project, so I need to get rid of all of this because this is the project name. And then I think I get rid of raw. I don't need the branch name. So I think it's just data location factors .yaml / raw, maybe. Let's see what that does. Error 404 not found. Do I have? What is this? Okay, so I don't know how familiar you are with. Oh, interesting. So this %2f, %2e, this is a URL encoding. And that's what it says here. So URL encoded full path to new file. So URL, excuse me. So if you just Google URL decode encode, so you put, I copied it in, and it's going to tell you it's lib/class.rb. So I need to encode. What did we have here? We had location data / location factors.yaml. So I'll paste that whole thing in here, encode it. Got it here. Paste that in there. Come to the command line. What am I doing wrong? Do I need? So this looks. Oh, the ref. I need the ref. Oh my gosh! Come on. Just assume what I want. No matches found. Okay, but we're making progress.
You have to have the. Oh no.
Location, is it location factors.yaml? So it's.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. Data / It says it's URL encoded. Oh, interesting that it doesn't. So it encoded the slash, but not the period. But if you look at the docs, it encoded the period as well. So I'm just going to copy this %2e.
Okay.
And replace that. Oh, that still doesn't make it happy. No matches found. Interesting. So this is what I'm doing here. So let's compare. So I've got curl header, private token, my access token, HTTPS GitLab.com. I know this is right because when I shared previously, like how I've cut a release, that is it is going to GitLab.com.
That's what you've used.
Yeah. API v4 projects.
Project note.
Oh, I need repository / files, I think is what I'm missing. Yes. So after the ID, repository / files, file path. There we go. Let's try that. Oh, and then I need master, not master.
Master.
Hey, okay. That worked.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So now we know. So I've tested with my user, so I can authenticate. So we'll leave it as a separate thing to test with the GitLab Analytics user. So
Could I do this locally too? Like,
yes,
like based on the directions, just like create a token and then try to grab a file. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Try it later.
Yeah, especially since you already have access. So I think in your GitLab settings, yeah, you just make your own personal token.
Okay.
I think just follow the directions in the personal
On the
access
GitLab
token.
docs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think you need read repository probably, or read registry.
Okay.
Yeah, I would make a read only token for sure.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. So a couple things. So I'm going to comment this in here just so we don't lose it. And then I'm going to comment in this is what work locally. And so that's what we're trying to work through here.
Okay.
Awesome. So what we can do, I think the best way to do this, I think, is just I'm going to update the this function to just take a private token and set it to none. And because so what's happening? So it's loop. Basically, we have a bunch of these dictionaries. It's looping through each file and then just calling the curl and upload function. So if I just update this function to accept the private token, that shouldn't be that should be no problem. So
okay.
I think an easy way to do this is if private token is not none, then set header equal to we're going to do how do I want to do this? Actually, I'll just do the whole string. Header. Oh, I need it as an so we are kind of doing this weird because like there's a whole, you can use requests is like the Python standard way to make URL requests. But what I'm actually doing here is shelling out to a sub process, a bash sub process to just run, to like pretend I'm running on a command line. So literally the exact same command. So it's literally just running curl.
Okay.
Else, oh, gotta close it. Okay, so what I'm doing here is I'm literally setting this header variable to the entire string, dash dash header private token, set the private token, and if it is none, then I just want header to be an empty string, and then I think all I have to do is just put in here header, and that should be okay, because I think. That'll work. So we will need to, okay, so.
You have to update your dictionary? No.
Well, oh yeah, good point. Well, so we'll do that down. Yeah, we do need a dictionary. So we need a people ops. Well, actually, did all of these move, right?
No, not the performance indicator file.
Yeah, sorry, no, not that one. I was talking about the.
Oh, but everything else, yeah.
Well. So role. This is very confusing. So a lot of this changed. But it's okay. So we need to update all of these basically, right? Because this data, like none of this exists anymore.
Categories is still in the same project that it was, and it's not private. Everything else I think is.
Oh, you're right. Okay. So we'll leave that one alone, and I'm just going to rename handbook dict. What? Change all appearances. Nope, don't want to do that. Okay, we'll just do this one. Handbook. Update this one down here. So we know that that's the handbook. And so now this is going to be, what do we call this? We'll just call it the compensation comp calc. We're gonna have several of these, right?
Yeah.
So we want
the main ones that we're looking for are location factors and geozones. I haven't used these other ones, but I can take a look at them.
Oh, so wait, whole team didn't change. Stages didn't change.
Yeah.
Job families changed and location factors changed.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So we'll do location factors and we want job families, presumably. Just
yes.
I'm just going to keep the same stuff here to make sure that works, and then we'll just add geozones. So that means we only have to make one new table for the geozones, which, why don't we just go ahead and do that real quick. So the nice thing about this is the same format, geozones, right? Because it's all these are just JSON text and uploaded at. So confirming GitLab data YAML, geozones, matches geozones. Boom, created. Okay, so got that out of the way. All right, so I want to rename this to handbook. Fudge. So I want to rename this to handbook URL just to be clear. Type. That goes there. That can still be base URL. That can be base URL. This can be handbook URL. So I want the function to be generic, but I want the variables here to be clear. So I want, this is the handbook URL. The PI URL appends to the handbook URL. The function is generic, referencing a base URL, and then we pass into the function handbook URL. So,
got it. Okay.
So we've added private token equals none. And so the format here is for key value in with comp calc dict. We want, I'm going to make this even more specific. We're going to call this comp calc URL. We're just going to pass it the comp calc URL. So,
okay.
I think that's right. Oh, and actually, this is the wrong comp calc URL. Oh, since we have to do the API, so we're going to pass in. Yeah, there's actually a bunch of stuff we have to change. How do I want to do this? We'll make it easy. We'll just, okay, we can refactor this if this doesn't work. So I'm gonna, okay, sorry. So what I'm thinking here is this actually is a little different because it assumes you can just append it, but we have to do that special encoding, right?
Yeah.
So this won't work. So I'm just going to take this and wrap it all inside of if statement, and then I can refactor it a little bit if I don't like it. So up here. Okay, so we're saying downloading file name to file.json. If the private token is not none, we're going to have this header. We're going to basically do the same stuff, and I'm just going to change it up just a little bit. So we're going to say curl header base URL, and that is not what we're sending. We're doing, let me reference our URL here. So the base URL is actually that's specific to the project. Oh, and actually we could do
Put data.
Yeah, right. Data per sent to F. Do I want what does that do? So it thinks, so in Python, the percent is like a string interpolation. So it's like, it thinks it's referencing a variable when you do that.
Okay.
I think I can do it as an F string. That should work. Are you familiar with F strings?
No.
An F string is a way to pass in, you can Google this later, but basically it's a way to pass in variables to a string. And so it used to be, you have to do the string name, then dot format, and then pass in the variables, and it references like those percent values. This just makes it easier, so you could do like stuff you can do with like Jinja and just reference it like that. But I think if I said this is an F string, it makes this happy. So %2F, so that's my base URL, and then we have the file name, then we have
%2E.
Yep. This whole there we go. So yeah, that actually works pretty well. And so actually this could be, we could actually easily refactor this into a, well, let's get this working, and then we'll maybe look at refactoring real quick.
Okay.
Cool. So I'm actually pretty happy with this. Okay, so let's test this. Let's test this locally. I think this will actually work. So I'm going to test it. How am I going to test this? Oh, I'm going to test this.
Do you just run the file names?
No, I have to pass in the private token. So I got to think how I want to set the private token. So I think we're going to call, so we are from the environment, we're copying the configuration dictionary. So presumably within here, I would pass in a secret. So we'll call this Bamboo. No, let's call it GitLab Analytics private token. So this is telling it when it spins up the pod that it's going to run the job in to pass it this private token. And how do I want to test this? Because there's a bunch of things I need to actually do. So like I have
to add that.
Yeah, I have to add. So you have to add this into here. Let's just add. So this is like user private token. So you have to have this whole thing which tells it how to map reference. I don't like this. I think it's confusing, but this is kind of what we need. There's that. I need to quickly test this before. It's going to reference it there. Let me pause the recording real quick just so I can upload something.
Could you also,
Sorry.
I was going to ask, could you also add the token to your Atom profile and then do it that way? Like if you have one?
Not quite, because remember, so I'm going to test this in Airflow again. And so Airflow
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
read from your local environment. There is
okay.
a world, you could run this job locally. There's just a few more things you'd have to set up. Like you'd have to have the Snowflake user and everything. That's just kind of a pain in the wazoo to set up.
Okay.
So for the time being, I'm going to comment that out and then just get all this merged up. So, and, actually, stage both of these. Add token. I want to just stage all of this. Update to pull from private project. Push that up. And then we're going to run all of our get Airflow spun back up. I could have left it running this whole time, but it didn't. It's not defined locally. Maybe I have to define it locally. Let's see if this just works, because it is in the testing. I think it'll work.
Okay.
On Slack. Okay, so is not defined. It's weird. I feel like that should be okay. Oh, we're not doing. We're doing GitLab data. Oh, it won't even load because it's not defined. That's interesting. Oh. So I need to import it from that cube secrets file. And then I just I just realized, oh, is Slack down for you? Server. Uh-oh. Yep, there's a Slack. That's fun. Always fun. Okay. I just realized we're not actually passing in the private token here. So we need to reference the config dict and then tell it, hey, I want you to use, oh, I shouldn't show my clipboard. This as a reference. I think that's what I need. Yeah. So how tight are you on timing?
I'm good.
We can go over a little bit. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's
Michael
see if
did ask a question, by the way,
on
in
Slack?
the Slack channel.
I can't see it.
He's asking about if your IP address is something because he got an email that Analytics API has a new sign-in.
Oh, if you're able to reply, tell him, yeah, that was me.
Okay.
I think he actually texted me.
He's like, why aren't you responding to me? I guess Slack is down for me too. It's not, it's just loading.
Cool. All right, so I started this DAG and it automatically triggers one. So let's go look at the logs. So it's running. It will probably fail on one of them because I didn't make the table. So actually we should be good. What was your question?
No, I was looking at the for the file name or the DAG.
Oh yeah, it's just called GitLab data YAML extract.
GitLab data, yeah.
And then actually I should have. Okay, it runs this one first. Good. I'll just stop it after a minute. What is it?
Yeah, it's showing on my side. It ran everything.
Hmm? What do you mean?
Oh, like all the boxes are green.
Oh yeah, in production?
Yeah, or in Airflow.
Yeah. But so I'm connected, I'm running Airflow
Oh, you're
locally.
on. Okay, got
So
it.
very different view and connected to a different database.
That makes sense. Okay.
What is it trying to do? Create container config error. So there's an error. Couldn't find key, GitLab Analytics private token in secret. Really? That's what we called it, right? GitLab Analytics private token, GitLab Analytics private token. I added it. Okay, hold on. Gotta pause the. Okay, so that should be happier now. Okay, so nothing. Why is this right? What are you doing? So weird. Turn it off. All right, so it's trigger. Was it doing a retry? Oh, maybe it retried itself in between while we're doing this. Oh, nice, yeah.
Okay.
Syntax error, unterminated quoted string. So that's probably related to that percent thing that we were just looking at. Unterminated quoted string.
Is it from the command
Oh,
where
nope.
there's another percentage?
Nope, it's from here. So see, I opened, hold on, let me stop this because it's going to try and do, but it just cancel the whole job. Oh, nice, it aired out. Cool. So it's from, so the header, it's fully wrapped in quotes. And so the private token is just another quote here. That's all I'm missing.
Okay.
So there's that. Let me comment out this. So that doesn't run. That did not work. We'll do that. Okay. So page quotes. That up. All right, let's try this again. We are almost there.
Okay. And then, like, am I able to get to the local host as well, or like everyone on the data team?
So localhost just means it's connected to your computer. So when you're running like a web server on your computer, you're telling, and you could connect to localhost, you're telling the web browser to look on this, on your machine, to connect to whatever port. So I'm running the Airflow web server on 8080. And so like when you spin up DBT docs, that runs on, like you connect to localhost at whatever port number it happens to be. And it's serving those pages locally instead of connecting. So if you think about like when the basics of the internet is you send a request to another computer at a specific port and it sends back HTML files to render. You're just saying, just look at my computer for these files at this port number.
Okay, got it.
What's going on here? Oh, weird. It's running multiple times. unexpected end of file. Interesting. Okay, let me cancel all these. Don't like that's retrying. Okay, unexpected. Hold on, let's look at that error again. Bash line 22 syntax, unexpected end of file. Interesting. What does that mean? So let me just try to do whatever's going on here. It's weird. So I'm testing locally real quick.
Okay.
What we're running to see if it's actually I wonder if I need the quotes. Only writing body. So one of the things I'm doing now is I spun up the data image container. So this runs in, if you look at this DAG, it runs in the data image container. So I just spun that up locally so that I have access to all this stuff easier. So this says it worked at this.json. Wonder. So locally, I have this in single quotes. I wonder if I need that here. Maybe let's try it. Untracked stage. Oh, actually, stage. So did I really just? I committed it wrong. Whatever. So locally, I got it to work by having these single quotes around the URL. Maybe that's what it means.
Okay.
I don't know. Isn't data engineering fun?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of it is just like figuring out what your errors are.
Yeah, for sure. It's 100%. All right. This is the worst part of testing is like it takes the iteration cycle time isn't great a lot of times.
Yeah. Could I do like if I just wanted to bring in a data YAML file, like the performance indicator files, I think I'm just gonna test it out to see if I can like go about the process, not the same way that we have it like in Python or something.
Just for what do you mean?
Just for like just for fun to see if I like understood how to create it out.
Yeah, go for it. Interesting. So we're still getting unexpected end of file. I wonder. understand. This is all the same, isn't it? Must be something with how we're building the string.
Could we put that string part into like a variable itself and then just put that in there?
Yeah, maybe just to build it up. What I need to do. Oh, do this without leaking information. I want to print the command line, basically what I'm do it without the private token. Okay. I'm just printing this to the command line just to see what's actually being run, to see if I can find out what the problem is.
Okay.
Because I don't have insight to what's actually happening. But what I will do this time, so I'm going to trigger the DAG, and then I'm going to try and catch the logs here. So it's going to spin up a pod, and then I'm going to watch the logs there because I usually see a bit more information. So it's creating the container. No, that's the runner. Okay. Oh, gosh, what is that? Oh, it's waiting. Spin up. What? Is it even? Pod launching failed. Did I mess something up with this? Oh. So to tell it to run multiple commands in a row, you append double ampersands at the end. And
Okay.
because I had moved this, I had that hanging and it was looking for something and then not actually doing anything. So
Got it. Okay.
stupid shit that you have to hunt and find when you're debugging. So I'm just going to keep that clean in there. And then if this works, then we'll get it all cleaned up. And then the only thing that'll be blocking is that access request, which I can make.
Got it.
man. Slack is not doing great.
Not a good day for Slack.
So that's spinning up. Unschedulable. What does that mean? Okay, now it's suddenly schedulable. Got it. So it's making the container. This took me. It's just taking too long. What is going on? It's like a watch pot never boils. The watched container never
so
creates.
that never creates. Does it usually take that pretty long to create a container?
No, I mean, okay, now
Oh, like
now
the
it's
previous
green.
ones. Okay.
It's just every once in a while, so it's slow. Maybe it's related to the issues Slack is having. Yeah, so like the logs that I'm looking at here are very similar to what we've seen in Airflow. You just usually get a little bit more information.
Okay.
But now it looks like it's trucking along. So yeah, nice. It looks like it's working. So
Okay.
because I'm connecting with my private token, we're getting location factors, we're getting it's removing location factors, and then it's doing job families, and then should be doing geo zones. Yeah, right there, geo zones.
Yeah.
So it seems to have run. So if I reload this, so if we actually just take, boom, it's exciting.
Yeah.
And then
Cool.
presumably, yeah, GeoZones has one row, and then job families will be updated. Or
Okay.
I guess it's called roles. Job families. So 2 questions: how critical is it to get the historical data?
I don't think that there would be. Yeah, I don't think there would be changes to the location factors between like in that last week of December. I can ask Brittany just to confirm, but otherwise we could just use that 1/4 date for our like the most recent date for December location factor data.
Cool. I'll flag it as like if we need to backfill, we certainly can.
Okay, yeah, I'll reach out to her just to confirm, and I can test it against. They usually capture the location factor data when they're doing compensation, so they have that just so I can compare it out.
Cool. Okay. All right, so let's get this tightened up real quick. Since we know we've tested that it works locally. So I'm going to revert everything back to the way it was. So get that there. Get rid of this clean command. We don't need all of that noise. I think what I want to do, so it's working, so we can actually just refactor this real quick, I think, to build up the, so let's do it this way. We'll pull this back out of this if else loop, and just build up make the command. Oh, no, I need that there. There. So now, what it's going to do, yeah, so now we just refactored a little bit so that we're only running the sub, there's only one section where it's running the sub process, and it builds the command up separately and then references it here.
Okay.
And I think that's much cleaner. So just test it again real quick. This, I'm just going to run this again, and then that's the meat of it. And so I think the follow-up from this would be I need to uncomment that out, but I need to make the access request to get the user to have access to that project. I'll make the private token. I need to upload that, but that's basically it, I think.
Okay, cool. This was helpful to walk through, just to like understand how we're capturing data from a YAML file, because like I see it, but I'm like, do I fully understand it? So this at least gets me to understanding it more. So
the other thing, so just to walk through this real quick, what we're doing is we curl the file to get the data, and like if you run this part, you can do it on this one since you don't have to authenticate. You like curl that raw file, it's just going to spit out to the command line. And so what we're doing here is piping it to this tool called the Yaml to JSON, which is actually built into the data image container. So if you're in the data, so if you're in the analytics project, if you run make data image, it's going to spin up the same image that Airflow uses and just drop you into the command line there. So you have access to all these commands and things like that. So if you actually just come in here, let's say I build up, so okay, we'll just type it because that's easier. So let's say I'm doing this one, curl data, and I want category, or teams, is that short? Team.yaml. So I'm just trying to copy what I got here. Hit that. So cool, it queries it right into the command line, and then you can play with YAML to JSON. So run that same one, just pipe it to YAML to JSON, and it actually converts it to a JSON file and spits it out to the command line. And then what this is doing is just says, actually, don't spit it to the command line, just write it to an actual file called
actual file. Okay.
So that's
sweet. Okay.
Yeah, that's what this latter half is doing, and then the front half is just telling it where to look and how to get the information.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then we just take that file and then upload it, and that upload process is fairly standard.
Okay.
So this is still running. What else? Oh, I'm an idiot. Yeah, okay, so the refactor worked, it's running. I'm going to cancel the running because I commented, I put back in this one. It takes a little bit longer to run, so I'm just going to kill the job. Maybe it already finished. It already finished. Never mind. Again, no problem, because it's these jobs are is that the right way to say that? No, it's not. Let's see, what do we have in the merge request? Yeah, so this looks pretty good. I can comment that retry. But yeah, this is, so I'll get this cleaned up, indicate that it's blocked by that access request, which I can make, and then I'll get it reviewed and we can get this in probably.
Okay.
Well, it depends on how long it takes to get that approval.
To get access request. Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Sounds good. Thank you for walking me through both of those.
Yeah, of course. Let me stop the recording. Before I do any other questions? I'm sure there's a ton of stuff I haven't
No.
touched on. But.
No, I think this is good. I'm wondering if there's like a table out there or something I could bring in. But if you run across anything that you might think would be like a good one to test out, that's not going to require a lot of time, I'd be willing to try it out. Actually, I think that Paul has one for like greenhouse access requests, which I don't think
That one's going to be
like
harder.
It's not a priority. Is that
Yeah.
harder? Okay.
I think that's harder. Well, it's only going to be harder because I think we have to write the API interface from scratch.
Oh, got it. Okay, never mind that.
I was thinking this one, you could get this updated to pull, one of the other files if that's something that you're interested in.
Okay.
And try and get that working locally and kind of like debug all the stuff. The only thing is we'd have to get you access to GCP. But you could still test. No, because you don't have the API key, I think. Yeah, maybe just play around with pulling the stuff locally, and go from there.
Okay.
I'll have to think about it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'll give it a stab, and then I think I'm gonna try just pulling in one of the like GitLab data YAML files, see what it looks like, and then see like where I get stuck, just for like practice to begin with.
Yeah, a good tool to learn is this tool called JQ. It's a little bit confusing, but what you can do is, so I would recommend first, testing like, okay, can I use curl to get this data and then save it into a file? But then I would play with using this tool called JQ to actually like manipulate the data in there. So you can, so let's say I have this file, temp.json. So I save all this data into a JSON file right there. So the command cat will just print whatever you have into the command line. And then you can play with, you can pipe it to JQ and start doing things. I don't think we have JQ installed on this, but we can. Yeah, JQ's not found. So you'd have to do it locally, but this is a fun way to play with JSON data and to like explore it. So that's another thing you can check out.
All right, I'm going to do that.